Hello, my name is Bhavna Yeole. Title of my presentation is Principle of ICH GCP, that is International Council of Harmonization Good Clinical Practices, guided by Ms. Archana Gowde. International Council for Harmonization Good Clinical Practice is a harmonized standard which protects the rights, safety, and welfare of human subjects, minimize human exposure to investigational products, improves quality of data, speed up the marketing of new drugs, and decrease the cost of sponsors and public health. Basically, it is international ethical and scientific standards for conducting research involving human participants. The purpose of this presentation is to provide strong awareness of good clinical practices, to understand the 13 principles of ICH-GCP, which tells us about the rights, safety, and confidentiality of the participants in clinical trials needs to be protected, and to know how the regulatory agencies view the conduct of these studies. Now, let us understand the 13 principles of ICH-GCP. The first one tells us that clinical trials should be conducted in accordance with the ethical principles that have their origin in Declaration of Helsinki and that are consistent with GCP and applicable regulatory requirements. These ethics principles have been established by many national and international bodies, such as the Council for International Organization of Medical Science and the World Medical Association Declaration of Helsinki. The second principle is, before a trial is initiated, foreseeable risk and inconveniences should be weighed against the anticipated benefit for the individual trial subject and society. Risk versus benefit ratio should be assessed for the study population before conduct of any study. Next principle is that the rights, safety, and well-being of the subjects are the most important consideration and should prevail over the interest of science and society. Safety of the clinical trial subject is of utmost importance. Fourth principle is about the available non-clinical and clinical information on investigational product should be adequate to support the proposed clinical trial. The information about drug molecule should be available which could support the conduct of the study in human. The fifth principle of ICH-GCP tells us about the clinical trials should be scientifically sound and described in a clear, detailed protocol. The protocol is most important document in a study. The development of clear, detailed, scientifically justified, and ethically sound protocol that complies with requirement established by national and local laws and regulations. The next principle is that the trial should be conducted in compliance with the protocol that has received prior institutional review board and independent ethics committee approval and favorable opinion. Follow IRB and IEC approval protocol for every clinical trial activity. Once the IRB and IEC gives its approval decision on the protocol, then it becomes essential that the trial be conducted in compliance with the protocol. Seventh one is the medical care given to and medical decision made on behalf of subjects should always be the responsibility of a qualified physician or an appropriate qualified dentist. Clinical trials involve human subjects that should be conducted only by scientifically qualified person and under the supervision of clinically competent physician or qualified dentist. Next principle is each individual involved in conducting a trial should be qualified by education, training, and experience to perform his or her respective task. Select appropriate qualified staff by education, training, experience to assist him or her with the trial and ensure the safety of the study subject. The ninth principle of ICH-GCP tells us that freely given informed consent should be obtained from every subject prior to clinical trial participation. Its process of informing and ensuring comprehension by study subjects about the research and obtaining their consent, including appropriate written informed consent. The next one is all clinical trial information should be recorded, handled and stored in a way that allow its accurate reporting, interpretation and verification. All form of clinical trials data generated should be documented with clarity, handled carefully and stored in an appropriate way to ensure accurate reporting, interpretation and later verification. The 11th is the confidentiality of records that could identify subjects should be protected, respecting the privacy and confidentiality rules in accordance with the applicable regulatory requirement. The research subject information are kept confidential. If the result of clinical study are published, the participant identification must be confidential. The 12th principle is investigational product should be manufactured, handled and stored in accordance with applicable good manufacturing practice, that is GMP. Manufacturing should be done as per GMP standard. Handling, shipping with temperature monitoring must be ensured. Temperature as per container labeled. The last principle tells us that system in procedure that assure the quality of every aspect of trial should be implemented. Quality assurance system should be in place. Follow-up activities should be designed. QA should hold overall responsibility of quality and subject protection throughout the study. So, here are all the 13 principles of ICH GCP. Thank you.